In the history of Formula One, greatness is usually measured in numbers, championships, pole positions, race wins. Legends like Michael Schumacher and Ayrton Senna built their reputations on raw speed and ruthless dominance. But sometimes, a driver arrives who changes the sport in ways that numbers alone cannot explain. That driver is Lewis Hamilton. Yes, Hamilton's statistics are staggering. Multiple world championships, over 100 race victories, and records that once seemed impossible to break. But what truly separates him from every other driver is not just what he achieved on the track, it's how he changed the culture, the perception, and even the identity of Formula One itself. Because Hamilton didn't just race in Formula One, he transformed it, and that's why there may never be another driver quite like him. A childhood far from the F1 world. Most Formula One champions grow up surrounded by motorsport. They come from wealthy families, racing dynasties, or elite karting programs that prepare them from an early age. Lewis Hamilton's journey looked nothing like that. He was born in 1985 in Stevenage, a modest town in England, far removed from the glamorous paddocks of Monaco and the luxury of motorsport's elite circles. His father, Anthony Hamilton, worked multiple jobs to support his son's racing dream. Money was scarce, and every race weekend came with enormous financial pressure. Karting, the first step toward Formula One, is notoriously expensive. Many competitors arrive with professional teams, advanced equipment, and corporate backing. Hamilton often raced with second-hand gear and a family working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep his career alive. But even at a young age, something about Lewis stood out. His reflexes were extraordinary, his racecraft was fearless, and his hunger to win was relentless. By the age of 10, he had already won major karting championships, catching the attention of powerful figures within the motorsport world. One of those figures would change his life forever. The moment that changed everything. In 1995, during the Autosport Awards ceremony, a young Lewis Hamilton approached Ron Dennis, the head of McLaren Formula One team. Hamilton looked him in the eye and said something bold. He told Dennis that one day he wanted to drive for McLaren. It sounded like the dream of an ambitious kid, but what happened next was extraordinary. A few years later, McLaren signed Hamilton into their young driver development program, making him one of the youngest prospects ever backed by a Formula One team. This decision changed the trajectory of his career. With McLaren's support, Hamilton moved rapidly through the junior racing ranks, dominating Formula Renault, impressing in Formula 3, and eventually conquering the GP2 series. But even as his success grew, Hamilton remained aware of something deeper. He wasn't just another young driver climbing the ladder. He was breaking barriers in a sport where no black driver had ever reached the top. The most explosive rookie season in F1 history. When Lewis Hamilton finally entered Formula One in 2007, expectations were high, but no one predicted what would happen next. Driving for McLaren, his teammate was none other than two-time world champion Fernando Alonso. Normally, rookie drivers spend their first season learning quietly in the background. Hamilton did the opposite. From the opening race in Australia, he shocked the paddock with podium finishes and fearless overtakes. Week after week, he matched and often outperformed the reigning champion sitting in the other car. By mid-season, Hamilton was leading the World Championship. The rookie wasn't just competitive. He was rewriting the rules of what a rookie could do in Formula One. Although he narrowly missed the title that year, losing the championship by a single point, the message was clear: a new superstar had arrived. The first championship and a historic breakthrough. In 2008, Hamilton returned with unfinished business. The championship battle that season was one of the most dramatic in Formula One history, going down to the final corners of the final race in Brazil. In a breathtaking moment on the last lap, Hamilton overtook a rival to secure just enough points to become world champion. At only 23 years old, he became the youngest champion in Formula One at the time. But the victory carried even deeper meaning. Lewis Hamilton became the first black driver to win the Formula One World Championship. In a sport historically associated with wealth, exclusivity, and limited diversity, this was more than a sporting achievement. It was a cultural milestone, and the world took notice. The bold move that changed Formula One. By 2012, Hamilton faced one of the most important decisions of his career. Leaving McLaren seemed risky. The team had supported him since his teenage years, and many believed his success was tied to that environment. But Hamilton saw something others didn't. He signed with Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team, a team that, at the time, was far from dominant. critics said the move would destroy his career. Instead, it became one of the most brilliant strategic decisions in motorsport history. In 2014, Formula One introduced a new era of hybrid power units, and Mercedes had built the most powerful engine on the grid. The result was unprecedented dominance. Hamilton won multiple championships, shattered records once held by Schumacher, and established himself as one of the greatest drivers the sport had ever seen. But even during this era of dominance, Hamilton was doing something few athletes attempt. He was building a legacy far beyond racing. More than a driver, unlike many champions who stay silent on controversial topics, Lewis Hamilton chose a different path. He used his global platform to speak about issues rarely discussed in motorsport: diversity, climate change, equality, and mental health. After the global protests following the death of George Floyd in 2020, Hamilton pushed Formula One to confront its lack of diversity. He founded initiatives designed to increase opportunities for underrepresented groups in engineering and motorsport careers. Through programs like the Hamilton Commission, he helped fund research and education aimed at opening doors for future generations. At the same time, Hamilton was reshaping the public image of an F1 driver. He embraced fashion, music, and art, becoming a global cultural figure far beyond the racetrack. Some critics questioned his focus, but Hamilton understood something fundamental. A Formula One driver could be more than just a racer. He could be a voice, the battle that defined a generation. By 2021, Hamilton stood on the edge of history. He had equaled the legendary record of 7 world championships held by Michael Schumacher. One more title would make him the most successful driver the sport had ever seen. Standing in his way was a new rival, Max Verstappen. The championship fight between Hamilton and Verstappen became one of the fiercest battles Formula One had ever seen. Race after race delivered controversy, collisions, and dramatic moments that kept fans on edge. The title fight reached its climax in the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. For most of the race, Hamilton appeared to have the championship secured. Then, a late safety car and a controversial restart changed everything. Verstappen overtook Hamilton on the final lap and won the championship. For Hamilton, it was one of the most heartbreaking moments of his career. Yet even in defeat, his legacy remained untouchable. A legacy bigger than statistics. Today, Lewis Hamilton's career is defined by extraordinary achievements. He has broken records for race wins, pole positions, and podium finishes. He has spent more time at the front of the grid than almost any driver in history. But numbers alone cannot explain his impact. Hamilton changed how Formula One sees itself. He expanded the sport's cultural influence beyond racing fans. He pushed conversations about diversity into an environment that had long avoided them. He showed that an athlete could dominate in competition while also standing for something larger. And perhaps most importantly, he inspired millions of people around the world who had never before seen someone like themselves represented in motorsport. In Formula One, every generation produces great drivers. New champions will rise, new rivalries will form, and new records will eventually be broken. But Lewis Hamilton represents something far beyond statistics. He didn't just win races. He broke barriers, challenged traditions, and reshaped the identity of the sport itself. From the karting tracks of Stevenage to the podiums of Monaco and Silverstone, his journey proved that talent, determination, and courage can overcome even the highest walls. So here's the real question. Will Formula One ever see another driver who combines speed, influence, courage, and cultural impact the way Lewis Hamilton did? Or was he truly a once-in-a-generation figure? Tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Formula One history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the world of motorsport.